So at this point, my 3-year-old daughter and I have watched My Neighbor Totoro at least 10 times. And all I can say is that it is nothing short of a masterpiece. That really is not that much of a shocking revelation, though, is it? I mean, each and every Miyazaki film is often heralded as the best thing since sliced bread. I've seen several of them over the years, and all of them have been something special. But Totoro, man, what an experience this film is. I want to sit down and express why it speaks to me so personally and why I think it's a masterpiece in filmmaking. The film begins with a cute opening tune. To be clear, I'm going to be looking at the Disney English dub of the film, and the opening song is sung by country music singer Sonia Isaacs. The opening scene introduces the main cast as they are moving to the country. We're also shown their new environment with the same enthusiasm as the little girls Satsuki and Mei. That youthful enthusiasm is on full display as they run from one adventure to another, uncovering the mysteries of the old house that is now their home. Voiced by real-life sisters Dakota and Ellie Fanning, they do a wonderful job bringing the two main characters to life. Dakota balances Satsuki's growing maturity and responsibility with her still very youthful and innocent qualities. Ellie also shines, giving May an innocence but also effectively conveying the mischievous nature of preschool children. The setting is 50s rural Japan, which is whimsical and foreign in its own special way to modern audiences as well as anyone who saw this film when it was new. The landscapes are incredibly beautiful, rich and detailed with vibrant colors. We also get eased into the fantastical elements of the story through the soot sprite, a type of yokai that we are told occupy uninhabited houses and leave if the people who live there are good people. The movie does not introduce Totoro right away, but hints at his existence more than once. The soot sprites do indeed leave after the first night, telling by showing contextually still more information about this family. Indeed, showing and not telling is a great strength of this film. To the viewer who is paying close attention, they are rewarded with extra details and immersion. The relationships between the girls and the father are also firmly established during this section of the film, in the same subtle manner. Tatsue, the father, is supportive of the girls and fuels their imaginations, never questioning what they see or calling into doubt what they experience. My favorite of his lines is, "Great, I always wanted to live in a haunted house." Voiced by Tim Daly, none other than Superman himself, Tim brings the same charm to this character as the aforementioned superhero, instantly calming any fears the girls or even the audience might have of the malicious intent of the strange phenomenon at play around the house. Indeed, he almost seems to know something that the rest of us don't, and is calm and even aloof throughout the film. The next principal character introduced in this section is Granny. Not actually related to the girls, this older character further bucks tropes by being just as supportive as the father of the girls' imaginations and discoveries. Played by Pat Carroll, who may be most well known for her role as Ursula in The Little Mermaid, she gives such a kind and warm performance in this role. In fact, the scene later in the film where she is holding the slipper and praying, "It is not May's," brought me to genuine tears on more than one occasion. But here she highlights further that something else is missing from this happy family. Where's Mom? The film does such a wonderful job of establishing setting and characters in such natural ways with incredibly human interactions, subtly feeding the audience information on what to expect without dipping too deep into cliché. It is quick and snappy, which is equally refreshing, compared to the often needlessly bloated intros of films in general. Miyazaki and his films are praised for celebrating the beauty of the mundane. The scene where the girls get the pump running is an excellent example. The art of the film is visually captivating. No matter what is going on, you scan the foreground and the background, absorbing every single detail. The film is rich with subtextual framing, rich in Japanese culture as well. Shintoism is a present theme in the film, with yokai and spiritual connections to nature being prevalent. So where's the conflict? In any story, intrigue is often found in conflict, and this film's conflict has been hinted at but not outright addressed in the opening. This is a happy, healthy group of individuals, emotionally and physically, but they are not complete. Dad and the girls ride their bicycle to town to visit Mom, who is recovering from an illness in the hospital. The novelization identifies her illness as tuberculosis, and since this was the illness of Miyazaki's own mother, struggled with whenever he was a boy, it sort of makes sense. The conflict is laid out in this section subtly, just like everything else in this movie. When the mom is brushing the girl's hair, she remarks on Mei's hair and Satsuke's. Mei's hair is pulled up in cute pigtails, but Satsuke's has cut her own hair really short. Satsuke is taking up a motherly role in this family, filling the void left by her mother, as best she can. But this has forced her to neglect herself and her own childhood joys. She keeps her own hair short to give her more time for Mei. Mom remarks in the film she is concerned about this and promises to spoil the girls both when she is well and returns home. Satsuki expresses her own frustration with Mei, remarking that while fixing her hair, Mei was misbehaving. The conflict is expounded upon by Satsuki making everyone breakfast and lunch before school and missing out on Totoro because she has responsibilities. She's disappointed, saying she wants to see Totoro. It's a metaphor for the situation she finds herself in. She's being forced to grow up, and it's robbing her of her childhood. We see the joy of her child self when she finally does see Totoro, standing in the rain, holding Mei on her back. She struggles with the burdens placed on her, but Totoro shows up and stands with her in the rain, even ending the storm after she offers him the umbrella. Her and Mei see the cat bus together before their family finally makes it home that day. Every interaction with this mystical world revolves around the two girls, but Satsuki misses out some of the early interactions by growing up too fast. Satsuki is stuck between the role her mother represents but cannot fulfill and the role Mei represents that she should be sharing. What makes it all the more compelling is that it's not the villain stealing her youth, but just circumstances. The whole situation is incredibly realistic and relatable. More than the hero's journey, this is a human journey. Satsuki writes letters to her mother expressing the adventures she and Mei are having with Totoro. The scene of the growing trees, where the girls and Totoro grow the seeds into a forest, is the climactic moment in the film. Here the girls are what all kids their age should be, worry-free and full of joy, experiencing the magic of their youth. Mei jumps to Totoro immediately, whereas Satsuki hesitates before finally jumping in herself. All the while, the father smiles a knowing smile. It's not that he knows something we don't. He's just happy because the girls are free from the worries of the world. The family, including their mom, is healing. There is light shining at the end of the tunnel. But then a planned weekend with mom is interrupted by a telegram. Satsuki's strong front breaks down. Mei is inconsolable, and understandably so, but Satsuki cannot console her because she herself is breaking down. Her mother's predictions come true, and she crumbles just for a moment under the unfair burden that life has placed upon her. Sometimes having support like a good dad or a granny or even a magical forest spirit is just not enough. Things escalate further when Mei becomes lost trying to get to the hospital by herself to see her mother. Satsuki runs in search for her, looking for help and finding her sister. For the audience, the scene is terrifying as we experience with Satsuki the helplessness of the moment. This section of the film is emotionally gripping, and I held my breath and even cried at some of the most desperate moments. There's no world-ending threat, not like we are used to in films that are popular these days, but the film has connected us to the characters so powerfully that the terror is real to us. With no other options, Satsuki turns to one last desperate hope: Totoro. Finding resolution through Totoro and the friends that she made by being and acting like a child is such a beautiful metaphor in the film. It's not an adult who rescues Satsuki and Mei from this hopeless situation, but their bond with the film's physical representation of childlike wonder. The film resolves quickly when Mei is found thanks to the cat bus, and the girls are assured their mother is going to recover. The family is ultimately restored, and they start new lives together in the country house. The efficiency in the manner that the story is told is reflected in its resolution. Some might feel the ending is abrupt, but to me the nature of the ending is all the more rooted in reality. In life, often our roads are paved in little crises. Traumatic nonetheless, but they often build up slowly, flare up quickly, and then resolve equally so. For a film named for a giant magical beast, it is an incredibly human and real story. So my impressions on this film is that it's a masterful work. The art direction, characters are full of detail that leaps off the screen. The film has a youthful energy that takes me back to my own childhood, running through pine trees with my brother and cousins. We played games for hours, and we were imagining that we were explorers in an untamed wilderness. The story is relatable and layered under what appears at first to be a simple premise. The musical arrangements are equally whimsical, inviting us into a world that combines the strange and the familiar seamlessly. The film's focus on trauma that is common to all families but often not discussed in any art form. Sometimes the temporary removal of a pivotal person in a family unit, even temporary, can be traumatic. It can put a strain on healthy and emotionally capable people. It has costs that sometimes are difficult to anticipate and even more difficult to measure. But in the end, love finds a way to see us through. Sometimes the solution is not to grow up, but to let go and express a childlike faith. Without the childlike wonder of these girls expressing their youth, Totoro would not have been there when they needed them. We as humans cannot always shoulder the burden of the world alone. We need help. We need to let people in. To make friends and play so that when things get serious, we know who we can count on and where to find them. The film's ultimate message to me, though, is the power of listening. The father listens to his children. Granny listens to the girls, and the mom listens when she can. But Satsuki listening to Mei when she tells her about Totoro and where to find him, this is Totoro's tree. It equips her for later in this film. Indeed, the greatest disaster in the film is when the hospital communicates poorly with the family, which leads to Mei getting lost. We could all be better listeners, not just hearers, but encouraging each other patiently. I know that I certainly could.